All right, keys to beating Vanderbilt, and is it going to be as easy as you think? I bet it will. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome into Locked On Gamecocks. I'm your host, Chris Marler. I am talking a mile a minute already because I am going to try and get through this podcast without any sort of issues from, I'm not even going to say their name. It is like Beetlejuice, so I'm not going to say it at all. But I am so happy to have you guys here. And thank you to our everyday listeners. Thank you for making Locked On Gamecocks your first listen each and every day. Shout out to our everydayers. Remember, we are a free and available podcast wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now, it is a big week for a lot of reasons, and we will get into all of those reasons here shortly. I said this yesterday briefly. The Vanderbilt game is a massive game, and it might be the first time in a while that might be the case, but it is nonetheless. I tell you what else is going to be a big deal this weekend, and that is our friends at FanDuel. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Listen, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Remember, new customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, let's get into the show. It's going to be a little bit of yesterday's show and today's show combined because obviously what happened yesterday, the internet wasn't great. But let's get into this. So, apologize, guys. I'm a little bit under the weather being back in Columbia. Yeah, what happened to the sun? I'm back in Lexington, back in Columbia, and all of a sudden the sun's just nowhere to be found. Now, I talked about this yesterday. There's some big games this weekend, some really big games. LSU Bama is huge. Ole Miss Georgia is huge. And it feels like that those two games have a lot riding on it from a national perspective, and I totally get it. But this game between South Carolina and Vandy also has a ton riding on it, just a ton riding on it. And I think part of that is the fact that you're talking about going into Vanderbilt with two teams that have a ton of momentum and a ton of opportunity looking at them straight in the face, right? Like looking at South Carolina and looking at Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt's playing with house money. South Carolina is not necessarily, and they're coming off a huge win. But this Vanderbilt team, I think that one of the things that hit me this morning, I was talking to Alyssa Lang and Chris Doring about this, they have been incredible all season, right? Like they've just been incredible. I think they're 7-0 as underdogs, which they are this weekend, 6-1 against the spread in those games. Like they have been tremendous. It doesn't matter if it's home, on the road, or whatever. One of the things I tried to convey yesterday is if you're South Carolina, the biggest strength you have had for most of the season, like not biggest because you have several, but one of the biggest defensively is you're really able to turn the ball over or get people to turn the ball over and create multiple turnovers in the game. And we've talked about this ad nauseum. When Shane Beamer and that staff win the turnover battle, they're now 21-6. 21-6. That's 21 of 27. That's a 778 winning percentage. It's really good. When they lose it, it's 3-15. That's a 167 winning percentage. You have got to find a way to win the turnover battle here. And here's the thing. It's not that Vandy will turn you over. It's that they just don't make a ton of mistakes and a ton of turnovers. Case in point, a couple weeks back, they're playing Texas. They have 2 total turnovers in the season coming into that game. They end up having 3 against Texas. Scary part of that is they still only lost by 3. So you have got to really be focused in this game, going to Nashville and say, hey, we have got to protect the football, and you've got to keep turning this corner. You've got to keep turning this corner, which Lenora Sellers and this team have started to do. I think the most impressive part, excuse me, guys, I'm so sorry. One of the most impressive parts of this coaching job from Shane Beamer and company this year has been, listen, the start of the year, it was up and down. You had the Old Dominion thing. We've talked about all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into too much of it, the LSU thing, all that stuff. Coming off the bye against Ole Miss, I was furious with the way that ended. Furious. We did the whole episode where it said Dow Loggins needed to be fired, all this other stuff, furious. Since then, Lenore Sellers has grown up. Dowell Loggins and his play calling have been great. And Shane Beamer and this team have really, really been focused. Now, you have to continue that. That's the one thing I keep coming back to with this game is that, like, if Vandy loses this game, it doesn't matter. Not only is it Vandy, they've lost 15 straight to you. And not only are they playing with house money, but you're talking about a Vandy team that's already bowl eligible. Now, if you're South Carolina, that's a lot different. Sorry for this. The dog's bed in the back is really just a beautiful touch to this video. But if you're South Carolina, I'm not saying that you have a clear path to the playoff. We have talked about it a little bit. If they go 9-3, there's potentially with chaos. But like South Carolina getting to 9-3, South Carolina getting to 8-4, which is very doable, is huge. But again, Vandy is bowl eligible. Vandy beat Alabama. Vandy beat Auburn. Diego Pavia is 3-0 against Hugh Freeze. Tell me all the storylines you want to hear. Like, this Vandy team has already, kind of written their season storybook. For South Carolina, there's so much more riding on this game because regardless of how good Vanderbilt is, you're talking about a team that's going to go into this game. You can't afford to lose it. You can't afford to lose to Vanderbilt because the optics, especially after what happened a week ago against Texas A&M, the optics of it would be so bad. You beat them 15 games in a row. And listen, I think this fan base is so fired up right now, and I love to see it. They believe there's so much rolling with this team and this program right now. I want to end this season with people talking about how, man, we could have been 10-2. Man, we could have been 10-2 if the refs didn't screw us against LSU. That is a much better feeling than, man, you beat A&M, and then what the hell happened against Vanderbilt? That's what you have to avoid this weekend. Vanderbilt's a good team. They are not better than South Carolina. You've got to figure out a way to get back up after an emotional win to go ahead and beat them. And here's the other part too. I think this might be for the first time all season. That Vanderbilt is looking at this game and being like that. Not like, I don't think Vanderbilt's overlooking South Carolina. I do think that it is very hard to get up every single week, especially without the use of our friends at Hims. Shameless plug. It's very hard to get up emotionally every single week and go win a ball game, especially after these emotional wins. That Vandy, right? They do it. And I'm not saying that the Cinderella story is coming to an end. What I am saying is, like, you beat Bama, then you beat Kentucky, you beat Auburn. Now you're bowl eligible. It feels like you have gotten over the hump and the obstacles that were in front of you throughout the season. If you're Vandy, for South Carolina, there's still a lot more to play for. All right, we're going to get into more of this game and the matchups and all that kind of stuff. Before we do, I want to talk to you about the new gold standard and our friends at Robinhood. Now, you guys have heard me talk about this before. Just remember, with Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for just $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up today at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold. Also, from one, I think, beautiful financial investment to another, let's talk about our friends at FanDuel. Now, listen, it's Thursday. It's Thursday episode, which means we're in the thick of it with games this weekend. We got NFL tonight. We got college football tonight. We got college football all weekend. But get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you're in the middle of a game and you get a hunch in the middle of that game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, we will be right back with more Locked On Gamecocks right after this, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this game and the one or two players that are going to make the biggest difference for South Carolina here. All right, let's get back into it here and talk a little bit more about South Carolina Vanderbilt. And I want to talk to you about some players that are going to make the biggest difference here. Hard not to start with Nicky Minwari, man. That kid is just so good. I told you last week we were going to have to see how that kid played in the box and in a phone booth, and he did a phenomenal job, as always. He is one of the best safeties in the country. Now, here's the thing. When you watch this Vanderbilt team, you don't want to say it's an option-style team. It is. But it's not like they're going to run triple option, under center, high school Harry, like the way Georgia Tech is running or any of that kind of stuff. It's not like that. But it is a version of the option. And the scary part is their quarterback is really, really good at downfield passing and being the ball downfield. Now, it's a Vandy offense that's going to try and take your offense off the field. I think with a lot of offenses, that's a really strong move because the entire attitude from them is you can't score on us if you're not on the field, right? Makes sense. Worked against Alabama. Saw it a little bit with Texas late in the game in that especially. Can't score on us if your offense isn't on the field. South Carolina can. South Carolina can. I think if you're South Carolina, you need to make this into a full court press type of game with your defense. And what do I mean by that? I mean, I am trying to take away the back half of the field. Like any single high safety, anything deep, good luck. O'Donnell Fortune, like he has been solid on the outside and guard receivers all year. The biggest and most key players for this, I would almost bring Eamon Worry down and matching up one-on-one with the tight end. The tight end for Vanderbilt is very good. He's been very good all season. And he's been a killer in big games, just a killer in big games. Now, that being said, the linebacking group and the trio that South Carolina has, right? Debo Williams and Demetrius Knight Jr. and the rest of the linebacker group in there. And also, again, bringing down Nicky Minwari. I think that is going to be one of the biggest matchups, probably the biggest matchup in this game. Like, it's great that your defensive ends, your edge rushers can get up the field and get to the quarterback. That's huge. I don't see that necessarily playing out in this game unless it's late in the game and they're having to throw the ball to come back. Like Vanderbilt's offense is designed around we're going to try and keep you on your heels. We're going to try to get to a lot of second and third and shorts, which is where they thrive. And then go from there. Eli Stowers, however you want to say his name, 38 receptions, 516 yards, 4 touchdowns this year, average of over 13.5 yards per game. That kid has been really, really good this year. You want to talk about offense? Hold on. What in the world? You start looking at some of the there we go, situational stats. This is a team that loves to be in short yarded situations. You watch it over and over and over again with like the Alabama game. It's like first down. They were constantly in second and third and 2. It's one of the reasons they had so many first downs, right? Like constantly in second and third and 2 or shorter. Here, you look at their third downs on the season, right? And think about how this plays out in comparison to South Carolina. Remember we did that offensive deep dive a while ago. And I told you that South Carolina's offense, so many of the third downs were 3rd and 7 or longer. Now they've done a better job of correcting that, and they've done really good in creating more short yard situations. But on third down this year, 57 total third downs. 24 of the 57 have been, sorry, hold on. 57 total third downs rushing the football, 67 passing, which means for a grand total of 124 third downs, they have been in 3rd and 3 or shorter in a majority of those. So when you get them in shorter situations, and they're also like, this is very much this is what we have, this is our identity, try and stop it. Sure, like one of the things they did that was really great against Alabama was shovel passes. Beat them to death with it. I think they had 2 for like 70 yards in the fourth quarter alone. So that's one part where the linebackers, and you have to make sure you're not falling for window dressing and seeing what's in front of you and seeing the right things, as Kirby Smart would say, right? But in this situation, Vanderbilt is very much, we know who we are, and we are not going to take a ton of deep shots downfield. We will when the time is right, but like it's 3rd and 2 or shorter. We're running the football. We are running the football. Try and stop it. Rush attempts on the season. Okay, they have 354. I'll do some math here. This is great radio. Appreciate you guys joining me. Divided by 564. So Vanderbilt's running the football on 62.8% of their overall plays. That is one of the highest in the SEC from a rush to pass ratio from play calling, one of the highest in the SEC. You got to load the box. You got to take the run away. And I'm telling you, the full court press thing, you really got to think about this because, like, kick them deep, play field position. This is a team that should not be able to hang with you for 60 minutes. They're going to frustrate you and pick and just constantly trying to like make you make mistakes until you get so frustrated that you do. Lenore Sellers has to have a really big game here. And I mean, I don't mean big game like he's got to have 300 yards passing or over 200 yards passing. He's got to continue the streak of not having any turnovers, like plain and simple. Just has to continue that streak of not having any turnovers. So I think that going into this game, like the writing's on the wall for what they're going to try to do. Lenore Sellers has not blown you away with his numbers this season, 11 total touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But here's the deal. Since that Alabama game, when I told you he was growing up in front of our eyes, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. That's just passing, right? He wasn't great in terms of completion against A&M. He had 48.1%, but 244 yards. You saw the chunk plays. You saw what Dow Logan's able to do. And this is a team that will give up chunk plays. Vanderbilt will. You've got to make sure you are not able to get baited into being frustrated and making mistakes. They are a gnat. They are a pest. They are a team that is going to try and force you into getting outside yourself and making mistakes. The key matchup here, I'm telling you, I think is you've got to figure out a way. You got to figure out a way if you are South Carolina to keep them in 3rd and long when they're not as good, and you can kind of pin your ears back. You got to make sure you wrap up and tackle because Diego Pavia is a good running quarterback. And again, this might not be a game like hey, maybe this is the game. Maybe this is the game where it's like I keep talking about this turnover battle, right? Like maybe this is the game where you lose the turnover battle 0-1, and you get that 4th win from Shane Beamer when you lose the turnover battle. Like it's not impossible, right? This is a very good Vanderbilt team. It's not Georgia, okay? Like, well, I'd say it's not Alabama, but they beat Alabama. It's not Georgia. It's not Ole Miss. It's not Texas. Like, you've beaten them 15 years in a row. You can figure out a way to do it again. Now, here's the other part of this. You look at the numbers that they've given up on defense. A lot of it is through the air. Like, there's only one game all season when they allowed more rushing yards than passing yards, and it was against Kentucky, and Kentucky can't throw the football. So that's why. They don't give up a ton of yards. They haven't given up over 400 yards of offense since the start of October. So, like this is going to be an ugly game. They're going to muck it up. Like they're going to try and get everything into like forcing you into making mistakes, being frustrated. This is like I said this morning on the radio. It is the quintessential 12:30 Jefferson Pilot football game. 24-20. Like some weird things are going to happen. You just need to survive for 60 minutes. Because I'm telling you guys, here's the other part too. If you're South Carolina, Missouri's not beating you next week, especially at home, right? I think that obviously Wofford is not going to beat you. You have a chance to go and finish the season. If you can beat Vanderbilt, who's a good team, not trying to take that lightly. If you can beat Vanderbilt, the path to 9-3 is staring you right in the effing face. Huge. I love it. So go to Nashville, buy yourself some $8 Bud Lights or Miller Lights or whatever you're drinking, overpriced beer. I always say that Nashville is just one giant strip club beer. I mean, that's inappropriate. But have you ever been to a situation like that when it's like, oh yeah, I'll just have a light beer, and they're like, okay, cool, it's $8. You're like, why? What is everything's sticky in here, and I hate it. I think that there's a clear path to winning this game, and we will get into that on Friday's episode. I'm not pushing it, guys. I'm not pushing it. Like this, this has been very good so far, because of the wireless and Wi-Fi and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to push it. So we'll get to that tomorrow. Man, listen, I know I say this a lot. I really appreciate you guys and the patience, all that kind of stuff. Coming back home to South Carolina, it's good to be back. It's just I hate the internet. Also, we don't have to do it today, but especially if I get over this little sickness thing next week, would love to see some of y'all at Williams-Brice. It'll be my first time going this season. As I said, I've been traveling a whole bunch. Would love to see some of y'all out there in Willie B. Would be a blast, I'm sure. And we'll get to that going next week. We still need to focus on what's ahead this weekend. Huge game. And I'm telling you, man, like Vanderbilt, I keep saying, it's a really, really good football team. But all you have to do to put yourself in position for 9-3 is get by Vanderbilt. This team can do it. I know this team believes, and I know this fan base believes. So close. Very close. All right. Real quick, let's get into my favorite ad read of the week, every week, and that is our friends at Hims. All right. Here's the deal, guys. Gather around. Sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. How hard? On a scale of 1 to South Carolina's strength of schedule every year, but this year, that hard, guys. That's inappropriate. Your sex life is important, but your schedule is busy. Here's the deal. You don't have time to go to the doctor's office to get treated for ED. Through Hims, you can get personalized ED treatment without stepping a foot outside your door. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra and Cialis and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option. If prescribed, your medication ships directly to you in discreet packaging for free. No insurance is needed, and one low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply, but remember, um, see website for details. Uh, see website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. All right, let's go to a quick break, and we'll be right back with the last part of today's episode. Locked On Gamecocks continues next. Talk a little basketball and what's ahead this weekend in the SEC. All right, we're going to close out today's episode with a little bit of basketball news. South Carolina lost their opener to a team that I used to play, not in basketball, because you can see me and tell me I'm not good at basketball, but a former Peach Belt member from 20 years ago, North Florida, comes into Colonial Life and beats South Carolina. I think it was in Colonial Life, yeah. Sucks. Not a great start. Obviously, you lose. But the key. Listen, you had a 5-point lead at halftime. It wasn't like you ever had pulled away. Really, you lose 74-71. Why'd you lose? Pretty simple stuff, just basic stuff. You got out rebounded. They had 15 offensive boards, and there were 7 and 12 in putbacks. I think they went and then you look at South Carolina. South Carolina went 14 of 25 from the free throw line. You got to the free throw line 25 times. You missed 11 free throws. So that is something that is not winning basketball. It's not going to win you games. Now, on the other side, man, this is going to be a fun start to November for the women's team. The women's team beats Michigan. Michigan has just an all-world freshman that put up like 27 points, but not enough to beat South Carolina. Chloe Kitts went off. I think she had this is from a couple of days ago, but she had a fantastic game. I think she was player of the game. Huge win. They won by 6, and against a good Michigan team. It's also against a really, really good player that caught fire, right? They were able to weather the storm. Good start to the season. Good job getting off to a 1-0 start. Sunday, top 10 matchup against NC State. Very excited about that. Should be a lot of fun. Hopefully, this is going to be a theme for the rest of November and just going undefeated on the weekends. So we'll see how that game goes. That's obviously, like I said, it's on Sunday. It's at 3 p.m. And then you obviously have the game against Vanderbilt in football on Saturday. So we'll be back to talk about all those things. I hope all of you have a fantastic day. I think that the wireless, unlike my own self, was a little bit more stable this time, which is great. We'll be back tomorrow, maybe later tonight. I don't know. We make sure you're checking out our squad shows we do with the SEC. Me and Chris Gordy and a couple other guys from around there, from around the league, talk about the SEC and all the games ahead each and every week. I got onto some of those guys this weekend because they broke down South Carolina Vanderbilt without asking anybody from Vanderbilt, South Carolina, which was weird to say the least. But make sure you guys go check that out. Make sure you're checking out, make sure you make Locked On Gamecocks your first listen. For your second listen, go check out Locked On SEC. Our buddy Chris Gordy does a phenomenal job there. And until next time, guys, go Cox. Hope you have a great day. Love you all. Talk to you then.